So as we march towards the end of the Cyberverse toy line, we still have a few more items that we're not aware that exist that are going to be part of those final waves. And two of these items were revealed to us today via Earth Entertainment's website. Pre-orders are going to start to be coming up soon. And one of these are very interesting, and the other one is kind of meh. We'll get into the meh first, and it's Mega Axe Attack Optimus Prime. It's a Warrior class figure. It'll be in the Warrior price point. The only thing that's worth notable saying about this is that it's the first time that this iteration of the character is featured in his Cybertronian design, which is still a truck, but it's a truck with a more, I guess we'll call it the mono windshield, as opposed to two separate windshield windows. You know, he comes with a flip-out axe weapon, which again, when it comes to all these, when it comes to these warrior class gimmicks and stuff like that, I mean, Optimus, I felt like all of his Cyberverse toys have some kind of flip-out axe gimmick, whether it be his One Step, his actual warrior class toy in 2018. It's always some kind of flip-out axe gimmick. Nothing much. The only thing that's kind of conspicuous, he has this little, like, almost hot rod spoiler in blue on the back in robot mode. Kind of funny that that's there. I don't know what that's trying to imply, but at least it's a little different. But yeah, nothing much to mention. Nothing really that great. Again, it's the Warrior class, which is, you know, you're talking already a lot of hollowed out plastic and limited articulation in pieces. It is what it is. But let's go to the really interesting one here, and it's that of an Ultra Class Energon Armor Thunderhowl. Now you're saying to yourself, well, Proto Man, like, we have the deluxe, you know, high-end Thunderhowl coming. Why would we even look at this gimmicky one? I mean, all the other Energon Armor Warrior class stuff, unless there's, you know, if it's a character that hasn't a figure yet, like a Clobber or Rack and Rune, what's the whole point of looking at this Thunderhowl when we have the deluxe? Well, I'll tell you this right now. The deluxe Thunderhowl that we're getting, from a mold standpoint, is not accurate to how he looks in the show. I almost feel like the deluxe Thunderhowl was created when the character was just being in his early design sketches before he actually was finalized and put into the show itself. Where this one here, this Ultra Class one, while the colors are off, is a lot more accurate to how the final product looks as from a design standpoint, and even scale. And I'll get into it. I'm going to break it down a little bit here. So when you look at the original Thunderhowl Deluxe toy that we're going to be getting soon, if you haven't gotten it already, you know, you have the face plate, so you don't really see his face that much, which in the show you see his face all the time. Obviously, the colors are completely off with this deluxe version, and it has more of a darker colors with a muted kind of green with yellow spots on it. Which again, Thunderhowl in the show has a lot of, like, I guess, Energon blue accents, which are completely absent on the deluxe one. Again, the deluxe toy itself has red on it, which is not on Thunderhowl at all. He doesn't have his cape, his, you know, majestic cape that he's so proud of and everything. Doesn't have that. The way that his sword is done as a gimmick is just a little separate accessory. It's not really that awesome compared to how it is in the show, and I'll get into how the Ultra figure manages to do it properly. There's a lot of stuff, unfortunately, missing. A lot of stuff missing. It probably is a great toy. It's got ankle tilts. You could say, hey, it's a deluxe, so it's got those extra pieces for ankle tilts. And he scales next to Bumblebee more or less the same height in that deluxe price point. Now let's go to the Ultra. Now when you get to the Ultra figure, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Crazily enough, for this Ultra figure, just as much articulation as the deluxe. Doesn't have the ankle tilts, but he has pretty much everything else. Maybe that head doesn't turn. It's hard to tell from the photos here. But aside from that, that's it. Probably head doesn't turn because of the Energon Armor gimmick. But here's where it gets really interesting. Number one, he has a cape in both his robot mode and a caped wolf mode, which looks kind of funny in all honesty. I think it's also, the cape, while it's there, obviously, from a design standpoint, it also aids in the Energon Armor gimmick, where you probably pull the cape back and then the armor pops out and envelops the figure. So that's probably why the cape is also maintained in both modes. You know, again, there's limitations with the price point of the product here. but it looks really cool in in wolf mode, because it I don't know, it almost reminds me like Transformers Zone, when all the Gestalt combiners, they all had their own capes and stuff. So it's just kind of funny to see it on a wolf. But let's get to that robot mode, and this is where I want to praise the hell out of this figure. You start with the fact that the mold itself is way more accurate to how Thunderhowl looks on the show. Now, granted, there's a bit of a dark green tinge going on here, which is still inaccurate to how he looked in the show, which was more of, again, like a dark onyx black, but the light blue accents are there. So they're pretty close. Just, the dark green still kind of throws it off, but I think that coloring-wise, it's still a lot closer to how he looks in the show than the deluxe toy that's kind of all over the place. Where the deluxe toy, it does have some of the yellows that are on Thunderhowl, but those yellows are much less found on the character model in the show than, let's say, even anything else. Number two, I love the way the weapon works here. So there's kind of a few things going on here. In alt mode, in wolf mode, the sword is stored in his tail, which is attached to, obviously, the back of the wolf. When you take off the wolf's tail, there's a peg on the side of the wolf's tail that then plugs into one of his hilts on the side that makes like a samurai hilt for the sword, so you could store the sword on the side hilt. Really cool gimmick going on there. Then on top of that, to be more accurate to the show, in the show, when he would actually take out his sword's hilt itself was the wolf's head. Now, you see in some photos here, they show you could hold the sword normally, as you want, without the wolf's head attached, or you could detach the wolf's head from his chest and put it as the hilt of the sword itself to add that extra show accuracy. And when you look in the show, when he's holding his sword, he doesn't have his wolf's head on the chest. So there's a lot of extra pieces here. I hate to say this, but the gimmicky, higher price point figure works out better than the deluxe figure. Isn't that crazy? And lastly, well, you go, okay, it's an Ultra. Isn't he going to be kind of too large and out of scale? Thunderhowl is a large character. In his debut episode of Season 3, Episode 19 of Thunderhowl, there's this one shot where it's him, Chromia, and Bumblebee, and Thunderhowl is like a chest and a head taller than all of them. He's much larger, and considering that the Ultra price point is more that, I guess, a pseudo Voyager price point, his scale works perfectly with the deluxes. So I almost feel that if you want to get your perfect show-accurate Thunderhowl figure, you don't get the deluxe figure, which is crazy when we think about it, what the whole point of the deluxe price point was. You get this Energon Armor Ultra Scale one. So yeah, definitely check this out. I'm picking this one up. I'm actually quite surprised how well this turned out. The Warrior Class Optimus, when I find him cheap, when he's going to be loose in the secondary market later. Although, again, what I was talking about, these guys are going to be last wave stuff. Thunderhowl, see, I was talking about that black Bumblebee before. Oh, he's going to be hard to get from a completist standpoint. Some people are going to want it. It's going to be a difficult figure to find. It's going to create a large secondary market afterwards because of the limited amount of, these that'll be available. This Thunderhowl, I'm telling you guys, mark my words, because how good this figure is, and because it's in the last wave, he's going to be a difficult figure to get later, and he's going to be very pricey. The people who are going to pick this up and sit on them are going to scalp this thing, because people are going to want a proper representation of this character for people that enjoyed Cyberverse, me included, and they're going to want a proper representation of this character. People are going to be revisiting this series 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Hasbro has it up on their YouTube account, so there's going to be people who are going to be discovering this series for free, just scrolling through YouTube, and they're going to go, hey, I want to get the best version of that Thunderhowl character. You're going to have the deluxe, and then you're going to have the way better Ultra here, but the Ultra is a limited release thing. Last wave stuff is difficult. Again, go back 2 segments before I talk about late wave Transformers in my finance videos and how difficult they are and how much expensive they get in the secondary market due to low numbers. This is, and distribution too. This is going to be something, if you're a fan of this character, if you're a fan of this series, if you're a completist of this series, this is the version you want to get. And when you see it, pick it up. Don't hesitate. I understand it's a larger price point. I get it, but it's going to be a problem later. just a little bit of a heads up. But that's all I really want to say about these two. Very interesting stuff. We have some other news that are coming down the pipe later today, but these two guys needed to be talked about, and this Thunderhowl, what a great release. I'm very impressed that from something that's outside of the deluxe price point in the Cyberverse line.